Let's get him in. Let's see. 81 million votes to 0 delegate support. I already love the comments. So if you are unfamiliar with this Jason Bermas format, for anybody out there that doesn't know, I'm just a regular person. I got to get stuff done. It was absolutely 100% time to get some laundry done, not even a lot. So I got plenty to fold, and we got plenty to talk about. So Joe Biden has officially dropped out. I thought by Wednesday midweek it would happen. It has now happened, basically a week and a day after after the assassination attempt on Trump, which is still just a wild scenario. And I'm kind of glad that hopefully a lot of people are going to have time to reflect on that. I know that Jesse Waters is now doing an interview with him and J.D. Vance. That's supposed to air tomorrow. Finally, Trump in public is questioning this. Like, how in the world was it that this guy, from the video evidence, was climbing this tower, on this tower, right? Which is, again, wild sauce, right? And he says the timeline is that, they're all screaming this like 5 minutes before I take the stage. And he goes, of course I had no idea. Well, that was a no-brainer. Obviously, Trump would not have been getting on stage had he had an idea that a person was going to take a shot at him, okay? So, extremely bizarre circumstances there. But let me start here as we gather in. Once again, how many people that are regarded as quote-unquote conspiracy theorists and lunatics and fringe and propagandists, how many of them told you Joe Biden would not be the nominee? Let me just start with the Tuckins, okay? Let's give Tucker Carlson some credit. Because, hey, there's a lot of mea culpas. One of the things I haven't discussed yet about the RNC, and I know that you guys are sparse. Some of you only watching YouTube. You should be watching me on TNT every single day. That is 3 to 4 Eastern, 2 to 3 Central, okay? Great show. I love that show. And MSOM, I believe that is 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And some of my interviews, I just did Dr. David A. Hughes. Amazing. Amazing. In fact, if you want to support me, go see the archives of those that you've missed. You can do so through the Patriot.tv subscription. And I think there's some promo code for Jason Bermas. When you do it, just email them, tell them I sent you, etc., etc. Anyway, how many times? I mean, I had Roger Stone, even when I was back on RVM. Okay, I had Roger Stone on. What, a year and a half, 2 years ago? Now, he's been calling Michelle Obama as the next one. But the Tuckins said no matter what, I think a year and a half ago, I think he might have even still been on Fox, that there's no way that the presidential race is going to be Trump versus Biden. It's just no way about it. Think about that for a second. Now, obviously, Alex Jones, et cetera, et cetera. I have been saying it forever, but look, they clearly subverted the process on purpose. They wanted no challengers. They wanted no legitimate candidates at all. Look, RFK Jr.'s got a lot of issues, guys. There's no doubt about it. But RFK Jr. actually, see, that's the crazy thing. Again, they don't want to admit this. But RFK Jr. actually gives a legitimate balance to Trump. So in other words, you have somebody that would split a vote like mine. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. That's really tough after the assassination attempt. So it's really, really tough for me. Like, it would take a lot for me not to get out there and vote for Trump, and that absolutely has positioned people more and more to go for Trump. Now, what's the response going to be? Michelle Obama, that anybody they choose, let's just say this, anybody they choose. Get DJ Spin out of here. If we got one of my moderators, we don't do the Q stuff here. Listen, the Q nonsense has no place here. You know what? Your fake JFK Jr. He was at the assassination attempt. He's like right behind Trump. I'm surprised that the Q nonsense crowd hasn't glommed onto that Johnny nonsense. Let's get back to reality. Okay, as I was stating, as I fold my laundry here, folks, as I was stating, anybody they choose has to give the plausibility that they could win. Okay? Hey, Christine, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're enjoying Laundry Time. It's one of my least favorite, but when news like this breaks 2 weeks in a row, last week I obviously wasn't going to do a laundry thing on the Trump assassination attempt because everything processing there, that was quick, and there's a lot to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. QAnon wants Project 2025. Prove me wrong. What are you talking about, Kristen Burns? QAnon doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. It can't want something. Oh boy, we got a lot of Johnny Nonsensers in here. We don't want to talk real stuff. Let's talk some real stuff again. So you've got Newsom, but Newsom is like reviled in some circles. Like let's also get with that. Think about this. If that recall election was fair, what's up, Jeff? Do you not think Larry Elder would have jumped in? Like, seriously, I have a hard time believing that Elder didn't win that race fair and square. I say, seriously. That recall, I mean, Newsom was so hated in his own state, they got the recall going. Okay? And it's not like any of his policies have benefited the majority. And the other thing is, look, love it or hate it, the driving force of the base, and that's the people that get behind and vote at the very end, okay? That base, is the TDS base. They're voting against Trump. They think he's disgusting. He's disgusting. It's like, what? I mean, well, you might not like him. He's not the best. But I'll tell you what, man. I mean, first of all, who is the best? Am I the best? People hate my ass. Let's be honest. I got nothing but love for everybody out there, but there's a lot of people that just don't like me, okay? And not everybody's going to get along. I think we got to have those moments of harmony as humanity, try to come together. But when you get you make a cartoon out of somebody who is kind of a cartoon, right? Because Trump is very much, a performer. Okay, he is. We talked about Hulk Hogan, the whole nine, the hate and lie shot stuff. I get it. Listen, there's a lot of legitimate criticisms on Trump. I've been there, and I'm still there. I'm still not sold on J.D. Vance, and we're going to get into that in a moment too. By the way, thumbs this up. If you are new, subscribe. If you're putting up with me doing this, I guarantee you go watch my documentaries. It's a whole nother ballgame. Okay? So, Trump did an hour and a half speech. He was very lucid. He made a couple quips here and there that were a little off, but nothing crazy. And this is the biggest part of the speech, everybody. Are you ready? And I think I've only talked about this on my shows that some of you aren't watching. The biggest part of that speech that nobody talked about is how he was talking about artificial intelligence. And what was he talking about with artificial intelligence? That to power the artificial intelligence, it was going to take a massive amount of energy. Now, I want everybody to think about that. One of the other things that they're not telling you with this movement, okay, is that, how do I put this? While you're regulated through sustainability, right, and carbon taxes and credits and tokens and social credit scores based on your behavior and allotted amount of energy and travel and what you can and cannot do with your vehicle if you're allowed to own one. I mean, the list goes on. Under the guise of sustainability and a lower carbon footprint for the planet, they will be utilizing the power to drive their AI. All right, for those in, I'm going to be able to relate to two people here really quickly. For the gamers out there, what up, Flick? It does go both ways. Listen, we'll get into the hero worship of Trump as well. Well, I mean, we kind of are here, but I'm just trying to point out the AI thing, okay? If you're a gamer, you know that it's not just the powerful systems. If you've got a NVIDIA card, or the AMD is the competitor, but the NVIDIA cards are also used in crypto mining, so the crypto folks are going to get this. And you upgrade your card. I mean, those cards can be $1,500, $2,000. I mean, there's even higher grade cards for Silicon Valley, et cetera, et cetera. That's a graphics processor. Now, that's going to allow you for gamers 8K gaming, 120 hertz, 200 uncapped frame rates, all sorts of, high, things beyond. Highest details, smoothest rates, because of the power of that processor. Now, in order to run that thing, you're going to have a certain motherboard. You're going to have to couple it with a CPU that's going to have to handle it. Those are all these other accessories that are going to have to go around that, right? And then you're going to need a massive power source, because the more that runs on, the more power you're going to need. All right? That's a microcosm. And in the video, by the way, their stocks are through the roof, not just because it's not because of the gaming and that industry. It's because they're utilizing that same technology to drive AI. And it takes a massive amount of power. And it ain't going to need wind power. Wind power ain't going to do it, guys. Solar ain't going to do it. Period. Okay? All right. So, let's go on the other side. Look, divine intervention, on the Trump assassination. I don't know. Everybody out there knows my views on God and all that other stuff, man. I believe in good and evil. I believe there's a force out there. And if the force is, because I'm going to tell you right now, the country and the world would be a totally different place if that guy's brains were underground. I can't even take the trauma. And that's the other thing. That traumatizes everybody, Flick, whether they like to admit it or not, right? So how do I explain that? If you are on worship sauce of Trump, on that spectrum, right? You think he's like Jesus anointed him, right? And obviously that is not my position. Your brain is going to flip. I can't even imagine. You've invested so much in that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you've invested that was the next Hitler, and that happens, and you're actually elated about it, that's another trauma. Whether you realize that's trauma or not, just because it's an endorphin rush, that's something that's going to be with you the rest of your life, and it's going to direct you and your psychology and how you interact with other people and their view sets. Now, for me, and this is all, all sides of the spectrum, and people like me that are kind of, can see the good and the bad. I'm traumatized because I realize that all of a sudden martial law is a real thing, right? All over the place. And more authoritarianism comes in, and more of an excuse to globalize comes in. All right? Now, kind of getting back to Biden. Let's do that for a little bit, because I think that's important. Biden outright showed us, and showed so many, and even those folks that had the TDS, the man behind the curtain, because those people, listen, I don't know who was running the country. I've talked about the Barack star, Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama, okay? And I'm not, sold on the fact that he was running the country when he was running the country, right? That's a cutout. That's a guy that, don't get me wrong, they picked him for a lot of reasons. They picked him because he was groomed from a very young age to be in politics. He was groomed to have certain positions. Obviously, as a political operative, it was so much so after his high school career that they took his name that he had grown up with, Barry Soetoro, and they made Barack Obama. That was his birth name, yes, but he never went by that. Okay? And then you see, we just saw the RNC, well, he was a rock star at the DNC after just being a state senator. Now, look, I'm not knocking state senators. Maybe one day I might even go for that position and see where I could get in a party, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I want to get into that kind of politics, but at the same time, you do get frustrated just talking about things sometimes, right? Okay. So Barack Obama comes in as the state senator who hasn't even won a Senate seat, but he's the rock star of the convention. He gives the keynote. Because he's running. It's a 6-year position. Now, he obviously wins that position, but then he's lifted up in a Senate position and made president at literally, he announced, I think, less than half of his term. Unprecedented. So how much is Barack Obama really managing things? I look at him as somebody that's making phone calls and having meetings on behalf of other people and interests, okay, in D.C. But that's not how the TDS crowd looks at him. And hear me out here. So how do they look at him? They look at the Barack star as like, hey, this is another Obama administration. We loved Obama. If he's really running the country, it's okay that Joe's really not. And, Kamala Harris, again, the virtual signaling that some people have actually bought into in identity politics, that makes them feel good. Okay? So they didn't mind that Joe Biden never was really running the country. Then you got the people on the peripheral that just aren't really paying attention that much, and they think maybe he's having a moment, and they're still buying into, what the talking points of the Democrats, and even people like Bill Maher are saying. Like, Bill Maher, you lost on this one, bro. The guy had dementia. You could see it. You could see it in the Democratic primaries of the 2020 election. You could see it in all the debates. It was there every single time. Okay, it has progressed terribly. Can we get over 100 thumbs up? Because we really need to talk about this. So then, to really put it in your face, because there's no doubt that, again, I don't even know if I can say it on this platform when we're talking about elections stolen and whatever. But the 81 million vote guy picked as his running mate. First of all, they still put the old dementia-ridden guy because he was the most malleable puppet. Then they put the least popular person on the stage with him as a virtue hire. What planet are we on? And like that woman doesn't run anything. Okay? Doesn't run a damn thing. So now you're in a situation where TDS is still there on some level, like the people that were really hoping he got shot. And they need a candidate, but they also realize that the average person obviously has now started to sympathize with Trump more and more. How could you not? It would be almost impossible not to after that. Like even Zuckerberg, who this ain't turning into a Mark Zuckerberg commercial. I don't like Meta. I don't like the Zuck. But Zuckerberg has now positioned himself with the UFC and Dana White. And I know that Musk is out there saying just a size issue, and I would kill Zuckerberg. Dude, I don't think so, big boy. Maybe you didn't watch the Days of Pride. I think that Mark Zuckerberg would house your ass. Still, I honestly think that Zuckerberg would just get a leg and twist it off, or he would just get his back and choke him out. Like Musk would stand no chance against Mark Zuckerberg. Anyway, that's another. And Musk is much bigger, but it does not matter. So he comes out and he says, as an American, seeing Trump with his fist, and this kind of goes to it what you're saying, Flick, about the people that just think he can do no wrong, right? With the fist in the air and getting up, and you can't think that that is totally badass. Even though he said he wasn't going to endorse either candidate. Now, I think even during that interview, Zuckerberg realized that at some point, the Democratic candidate, he's going to have more than enough time to say positive things about whoever they pick, but while still staying out of it. So Joe Biden was a moot point. So that's kind of a strategic move on Zuck's part. But again, in the realm of reality, that totally lionizes. That image will never go away. It's never going anywhere. It's one of the most historic images we've ever seen is that guy. And somebody was like, thought that at first, because the camera footage of the guy who took it came out, and they thought like somebody was following the cameraman. No, he had like a little GoPro on him. I mean, there's plenty of angles from the backdrop of the stage as well on the attempt. So, getting back to it, we've really only talked Newsom a little bit. We've talked Michelle Obama. There's buzzing of Gretchen Whitmer. Kamala embarrassed may try to throw her hat in the mix, as what will be and has been does not have to be or should be, but what can be, will be, one day be. Where's Montel Williams and Willie Brown? Get myself a little Eiffel Tower going. Did I say that out loud? Oh my goodness. I couldn't have said something like that. So Gretchen Whitmer again, I think would be a horrible pick. Like many people realize that there was no plot to kidnap the governor. But again, people that are watching that news, they're on another planet. They're in another world. They're hanging on to CNN and MSNBC and all that other stuff that's really less and less relevant with people that are paying attention, right? Think about that. Like totally and completely, 100%, really not relevant in the arena of adult discussions anymore. Like they again, for 4 years told you Joe Biden was competent, and they're just, what happened? We can't believe it. But again, those same media personalities are having dinner with the Barack star, and he's sitting there telling them that, well, I had dinner with this official and that official, and this is where we're probably going to take this, and guaranteed, massage parlor style. Now, look, in the coming days, I guess we're going to find out. This is really, we got 3 weeks to the convention. There's been 0 debates. The American people are totally taken out of the equation. Totally, think about that aspect of it. They're totally taken out of the equation, even though it was an illusion of equation with Biden on who is going to be the nominee. That's pretty that's kind of just like in your face. That shows you how much we as American citizens and human beings in this free country for democracy are treated. That's how much they care about you. That's how they gave you a choice. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I love Bernie Sanders. I don't. But at least the Democrats should have started realizing it when they clearly screwed Bernie out of the nomination in 2016 on behalf of Hill Dog. And that's the next question. Is Hill Dog coming in? Right? Like, is like Hill Dog, like they're going to start playing Daft Punk's One More Time, ba-doo-doo. And then, Hillary Clinton's going to waddle on stage and she's going to get it. I guess that's the dark horse, right? Dark horse Hill Dog. Oh, but you really can't count anything out. What do you guys think? We got any other people you think they're going to throw in there? Anybody? Bueller? We got Whitmer. We got Michelle. And by the way, I don't think that, Michelle, a lot of people want to dog it. Gilbert, if he gets this right, you did a book and a movie on it. Went back, talked to people in her old neighborhood when she was a kid. Certified it is indeed Michelle Obama. I don't know, don't get me wrong. There's a little wang dangling going on in some of the videos, but who knows? Who knows what's going on there? Maybe she just likes to get in there with a little strap of tea sometimes for her favorite power bottom. We'll leave it at that. I don't know. Maxine Waters. Come on, no one's voting for Maxine Waters. I don't know who they're, they can't roll out Grandma Oatmeal, right? Let's see. First Hispanic woman to make a turn. Who's that? I didn't see. I must not have seen the names there. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share, everybody. And if you want to, down below are all the links. I do want to remind people I am daily. Twice a day. Once on Patriot.tv. And again, also earlier in the day over at TNT.news. TNT.news, by the way. You can go TNT.news. You guys, if you're not catching it, again, interviewing some really interesting people, doing really interesting segments. Courtney Turner comes on, Kristan Harris, John Klychek. That is over at TNT.news, and then my show, and you can get everything on Podbean, on MP3, or you can get, you can get, I just did Michael Rivero, too. You can get the MP3s, or you can get the video format, too. It's all, like, TNT.news, everybody. TNT.news, let me say it again. In fact, I'm going to be going on the Mike Ryan show in a few hours. Might be a couple hours now. We'll probably end up wrapping this up soon enough. Not super soon. We got plenty to talk about, folks. Plenty to talk about. So, Trump finally acknowledging some of the anomalies that led up to him getting shot on Jesse Waters, coming up with J.D. Vance. So let's talk J.D. Vance. I'm sorry, Cry, if you don't like the new time. It is the fourth. It's during the fourth hour of the Alex Jones show, so I can't do the fourth hour anymore of that. But later in the evening, the Patriot.tv show is on also. So look, I think JD Vance is not a great pick, right? Like, I think he's got a lot of problems. I think he says a lot of the right things, right? And look, the Tuck-ins talked up JD Vance at the RNC and said, like, that was the right pick because he's the guy that scares them the most. JD Vance, I think, Bilderberg 2017. Obviously, his relationship with Peter Thiel is the one that, concerns me the most. And then, you have, on the counter to that, the media attacking Vance after he was picked because he talked up Alex Jones in relation to the media and the reality of the world and a global superclass, as opposed to what you get sold on, like Rachel Maddow, right? And honestly, when I went and watched that, I didn't watch the whole speech, but I watched like that 5-minute segment myself because I didn't just want it to get cherry picked and whatever. I'm going to be honest, it made me like Vance more. I mean, it's not that hard for me to like Vance more because I'm extremely skeptical of him. But, I also watch a lot of, as you guys know, I've done watch-alongs on people like Alex Karp, who is a very dislikable character, but also with Peter Thiel. And sometimes, I'd be totally remiss to tell you that I didn't agree with what Thiel was at least stating in principle. So I understand why people get bamboozled, but it's not just, talking the talk. What's the walk they're walking, right? Let's see. Pence, Vance, can't dance, but he'll steal your money. Well, Mike Pence, he's out of the family, obviously. There's no Mike Pence appearance at the RNC, and rightfully so. I was surprised, again, they brought Pompeo out there. And Pompeo's really, I don't know if he's on the Ozempic, if he's on a real diet, but he almost looks like, a different person. And he seems to be trying to posit himself as a different person. So that being said, guys, we know the deal here. I absolutely love everybody. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Biden is out. The circus is in. And what they're going to look for is a candidate that they can plausibly steal the election with under certain circumstances. Because the other guy was just so wildly unpopular, I think it's going to be very hard to do. But listen, no one's out of the woods yet. And even if Trump were to get voted in and then get in and sworn in January, nothing happened in between, doesn't mean that, the country is necessarily and the world is much safer. We're in very weird times. They just tried to shoot that guy in the head. We're on the cusp of World War III with Russia, Ukraine. The Middle East is popping off like never before. Israel's doing whatever it wants and openly stating there's no two-state solution. That's kind of a first, right? So, a lot out there. Guys, thank you so much. I love you. We'll see you all on the flip side.